Okay, in this video we're going to look at some basic mathematical functions that you might find useful. So the first is absolute value. So it's ABS equals ABS, and you put the value in there. And you can see that a negative 23 is turned into a 23, and that's because it's the absolute value. If this was actually a 23, it would remain. So it's just removing the negative sign of any numbers that might have it. Second is integer. So if you ever need to take the integer part of a number, you simply say equals int, select the value, and you'll notice that even though this is closer to 32 than 31, it's simply taking the integer portion, so it's not rounding, so it's 31. If you're a high school mathematician or so and you need to get the logarithm of a number, that's very easy. Lots of other statistics as well. This is called a modulus, and you see this in computer programming all the time. What you're really looking for here is the remainder when you divide two numbers. So equals mod, the number is 7, comma, the divisor is 3. So if we divide 7 by 3, we should get 2 with 1 remaining. And there's the 1. Okay, this one is raising a number to a power. So we're going to take 2 and raise it to the 8th power, and that should be 256, which it is. Okay, we have two functions we've used in class, rand and rand between. The first is, let me come down here and say equals rand. And rand doesn't really need any arguments. And you'll see what it does is it generates a random number between 0 and 1. Okay, so the number will never exceed 1 or be a negative number. And that's handy, and I'm sure statisticians use it all the time. But for most of us, we would probably use the other function, or rand between, simply because it gives us numbers we might consider a little more friendly. Oop, messed up there. Let me come back. And that way we can set a bottom number and a top number on this. So let's say that these are grades for a particular week, or for a particular 7 days actually. Saturdays and Sundays included. So I'm going to say the lowest grade someone received was a 70 and the highest 100. And now when I copy that down, it generates random numbers for me. Of course, every time I copy it, those numbers are going to change. So one of the things we've learned to do with rand and rand between is simply to copy the values and paste them back in as values. So take the formula out and drop the values back in. Okay, so rand gets you something like that, and rand between just lets you take it from a particular range of numbers. Okay. If you do actually want to round a number, not take the integer, but round it, you're going to use the round function. And for this function, you're going to need to include a second argument. Is how many places do you want it rounded to? And if you say 0, you're going to get it rounded to a whole number. But if you say 1, it'll be rounded to the tenths. 2, rounded to the hundredths, etc. So in this case, that doesn't make very much sense because my value only goes to the hundredths. So rounding to the hundredths would have no effect. But if I do round to the tenth, you can see it rounds up because the hundredths is a 5. And you can notice also that my rand and rand between just constantly recalculate. Square root is a simple function equals sqrt, and it simply wants the value to calculate the square root of that value. So this is 6.855 for 47. Sum is actually the function that gets used with AutoSum, and it simply adds up a series of numbers. Now SUMIF is a variation of that. And it's going to ask for the range, which I'm giving it here. And then the criteria. So the criteria is I only want you to sum these up if they're greater than or equal to 80. I don't know why I want to do that, but perhaps I want to do that. And you can see now the number is smaller because it's not including this 75, this 76. SUMIFs, very similar to sum, it just allows me multiple arguments. So let's try that. Forgot the equals SUMIFs. And I have to give it the range that I want summed. So I would like this summed. And now I have to give it the criteria range. So what I would like to check against. Now in this case, I'm going to check against the exact same range. That may look a little odd, but it's B14 to B20 is what I want added together. If B14 to B20, if the values, comma, are greater than 85, and my second criteria is, I'll select the dates, are greater than or equal to, since we're saying 85, then let's say 9.5 to prove a point. 9/5/2016. So it's only going to sum these together if it's this date or later and above 85. And when I hit enter, you can see that it's these two that are added. So 99 and 96 is 195. So it didn't include this 97, which exceeds the 85 mark, but does not meet the date criteria. Okay, so that's a quick review of these functions. There are certainly more math functions in there, many more. But these are some interesting ones and some ones that you might find useful even if you're not a mathematician.